Howdy, how's it going? We're gonna go live. I am going live a little bit late tonight because it's just life. I want to go over really quick general cross hatching. Okay, it's gonna be really simple, really easy. You're gonna learn a whole lot. It's only gonna take like 10 minutes, so give me your time a little bit, and we can go through this stuff. So we're going to focus in on this guy who is just kind of like a wild creation I made. It's just some kind of like samurai with a giant eyeball on it. Maybe, he's like from the underworld. He has kind of like, demony look to him. But I want to talk really fast about like just shading and specifically cross hatching because I think cross hatching is probably one of the most kind of well known ways to shade something, right? And I do think it's very valuable for you to learn. So we're going to go through that. If I'm just going to shade something, what I want to do is I really want to think in 3D, right? So what am I thinking of when I look at this guy? I'm thinking, because he's already drawn. I already drew him for the most part. He's sketched out. There's parts of him missing, but I'm thinking that what would this surface look like, right? Even though I created it, what is this surface looking like, right? It looks right now like it's smooth, right? Like if you were to put an ant on it crawling across his body, it's going to go somewhere, kind of over like this, right? It's going to go a little bit curved, and there's probably something on the back side of him over here on the other side. It's probably this side of the armor. So taking that into consideration, right, you want to think about that all over the place. You want to think a little bit like in 3D. And I've said that before when you're drawing anything, you want to think in 3D, think in 3D, think in 3D. Because what that allows you to do is it allows you to kind of like be aware of like the backside of some of these shapes that you created. So I know that the armor is gonna fasten on this other side. I know that this over here is gonna have a very similar shape on the other side. And when you think about all that stuff, it just becomes 100 times easier to kind of manipulate the drawing the way you want. So that's just something to really keep that in mind. And how do you do this? How do you think in 3D? I'll be honest, a lot of it is just forcing yourself and you become better at it over time. And then the other thing would be just kind of recognizing, being observant of like very simplistic shapes. You've seen armor before in real life. You know the way it generally curves, right? But you can also practice simple shapes. But that's not what this is about today. We're talking about cross-hatching, okay? Simple cross-hatching. So cross-hatching, and I'm going to go over, god dang, I want to draw a little simple shape around here. Okay, I'm going to put a little, am I going to do this? All right, I'm going to put a little piece of paper down because I want to show you on a separate piece of paper real fast. So, real quick, okay? I'm going to take a piece of paper over here, put one over right there, right? Let's go over cross-hatching really quick, all right? So, cross-hatching in general, right, is, let's just say we have our simple box, right? Let's take our simple box. Okay. Cross-hatching is focused obviously on shading. Oops, daisy. I don't want to move that around. It's focused on shading a shape. Hold on, let me move this a little bit. We're basically shading a shape right there. And what you're recognizing is where the light source is coming from. Okay. So the light source is coming from, let's say, above. Let's say it's coming from this direction. All right. That means over here, there's going to be more darkness and there's going to be more light up in this area, okay? And let's just say it's really dark over here in this corner. Let's say it's really, really dark, right? There's going to be a gradual, right? It's going to go from dark into light gradually, right? And a good way to make that come across is to draw, let's just say, lines right here, one direction of the form right there, and see how it gets like longer, and it's going to slowly get like, as it goes into the light, it's going to be a little bit less. And we can do the same thing over here from the darkness. We're going to do these lines like, we're going to overlap them, and they're going to kind of dissipate as they go toward the light, right? And that's like the simplest way to kind of throw that. It's like a net. Imagine like a net for the shadow it starts to dissipate and slowly, gradually go away the closer it gets to light. So going back to this guy right here, look at the form, the way it's rounded like that. Okay, let's just say the chest is rounded. Let's say the light's coming from above. we do the same thing, except we're going to conform our lines to the shape of this, right? So we know this is round. So we're going to go line, slightly curve your lines a little bit like we're like there, and it's going to kind of dissipate as it goes into the light area a little bit. We're going to go over here. We're going to do the same thing. Draw a line across. You know, maybe curve the line along with the shape of the form. And it's going to slowly go away, right? I'm obviously doing it a little more simply than I normally do it, just to kind of, how do you say, like show a point and make a point to kind of demonstrate it, right? And then you can throw a line over here underneath. You know, in reality, when people do this, they do this every which direction. You know, they'll draw like the net interweaved, like the thicker your net, the darker it's going to look, right? So some people go draw little lines over here, little lines over here, little lines over here, right? So you're kind of like interweaving your little net, right, of shadow, right, like that sort of thing. It can be organic. You can purposefully leave it with full-blown giant lines, like you can. That's a style, right? That's a choice. We can go down here, the next one, right? Same thing. Let's draw over here some lines, and they're going to dissipate. Let's say the lights come from over here somewhere. Same thing over here, line, and it's going to dissipate. Maybe make this line a little bit thicker on that side. You can do the exact same thing, right? Same thing over here. You're drawing the line across. So it's that little net. I would make this a little bit darker because it's below it, right? And you're kind of interweaving your net. So that's kind of the simple concept of it, and kind of the way you apply it to your character, because there's a lot of simple shapes around here, is kind of the art of it, right? How you do it is going to be different than from what most people do. You know, you might want to like leave gigantic, you know, if you ever look at inkings, by the way, in comics, that's a great one, because inking is still like around. You know, they usually do it digitally, but look at one of my favorite, let me think, who's a good one? I don't know if he inks it though, but there's a guy named Greg Capullo. Greg Capullo, he does Spawn comics. I don't know if he inks it, but he has this wild, I don't know if he's the inker or not, but man, his lines are great. If whoever inks for him, if it's not him, you know, you can put little dots right here randomly. That can happen too. That's kind of a style itself, though. The little dots almost looks like little, I don't know, like little bits of stuff, you know, flying off. It just kind of shows maybe like a little bit, like the armor's used or a little bit more convincing. And yeah, that's pretty much the way I do things as far as cross-hatching goes. That's simple cross-hatching, right? And I'm throwing it on here without actually putting in all the other details. Like I didn't throw the dark, you know, this giant eyeball. I didn't, you know, I would probably throw more subtle, like this isn't even crosshatch. It's just like a line, right? Line, line, line. But these little lines conform. They basically go with the form of what we're looking at. So right here, you know, they'd probably pull up a little bit right there. There we go. Same thing right here, right? You don't have to draw like the cross-hatching because then it might get a little bit too dark. And maybe as it goes up, it'll get lighter and lighter and lighter. Like the net will become like less interwoven, right? And some styles can be a little dated. So anyways, that's generally how it is. So like if I was to take this, I'd probably like finesse it out in my style, right? But that's kind of the way I start everything. I'm thinking in 3D, and that's, you know, how it goes. But anyways, I'm leading you guys on here. I'm like, what do you say? I'm rambling here. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll probably end this with, let me think, maybe like a story about something. I can't really think of one. Yeah, but so yeah, think in 3D, think in 3D, think in 3D. I don't know if some artists already coined that term as like their thing, but I got to make that like, you know, like tattoo it, you know, onto the website. Like think in 3D, because when you do that, that's where the problem solving begins, you know. All right. That's pretty much it. I'm going to bail now. I just want to come live a little bit. It's super late at night, but I thought I'd go live for a little bit and just talk to you guys. So there you go. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the live tomorrow, okay? We'll talk later.